It's the Redirect Podcast. Search industry research, discussion, and analysis from the Black Truck Media and Marketing Headquarters. And now, redirecting you to the Black Truck team.
Welcome to episode 35 of the Redirect Podcast. It is Friday, February 23rd, 2018. I'm Jason Dodge, founder of Black Truck Media and Marketing. Welcome this week by Ashley and Patrick from the Black Truck team. Welcome back, gang.
Hey.
You guys got you got a week off. not really, but you got a week off from the Redirect as the last episode 34, we had Mobile Moxie's Cindy Crum on, and she did a really great deep dive into a theme that has certainly created a lot of chatter recently, and that's the Mobile First Index. So there's a lot of, I've been following a lot of the talk, I should say the Twitter chat that has come out of PubCon this week.
Yeah.
I did not, as much as I would have loved to have gone, I did not. So I resorted to watching comments come through Twitter. But that's certainly the Mobile First Index is one that came up multiple times. So what's new this week in the world of search? I mean, I've certainly read quite a few things that have kind of been moving and shaking in the industry. But Pat, you wanna take the lead and start talking about what you found?
AdWords.
Okay. What about AdWords?
Specifically, the keyword planner.
Have
you done a reading on that?
I heard that there were some changes, but I did not read into what those changes were. This is a recent thing, slowly starting to roll out, right?
Yeah, slowly starting to roll out. So, full disclosure, I haven't touched Keyword Planner in a long time.
Right.
Pretty much the rule on the road has been that it's been not your most trustworthy source or easiest tool to use because of the different layers and levels and nuanced results and reading between the lines. And as more and more complaints came in about the Keyword Planner, more and more new tools became available.
Well, and I think kind of to back up as a little bit of background with that, the reason being, and as SEOs, on the SEO side of things that we do at Black Truck, the reason why we've maybe migrated away from that, other than some baseline ideation, is that if you don't have an active account, an active campaign, many times you're not going to be able to use that tool. And furthermore, that whether they admit to it or not, depending on the scope of your campaign, the size and the budgets and things like that, there certainly is enough talk and chatter out there in the world for people to know that data can be skewed based on what it is that you're currently operating.
It's skewing the results based on paid impressions.
Absolutely, yes, paid impressions. So that's the other big factor. Is for a long time everybody said, let's use Keyword Planner, it's free. So there's a lot of non-SEOs and even SEOs alike that were using it when forgetting that that's AdWords data. That's not necessarily true search data. So now that we got that out of the way.
Yeah, now that that's out of the way. So they completely redid the whole entire tool. It's no longer the same tool as far as a visual in it. It's in line exactly with what you experience with the new AdWords. I used to really dog the new AdWords, and I'm slowly getting more comfortable with it. And honestly, I don't find myself complaining nearly the same way I used to.
Well, at least the Google team doesn't ask us anymore if we're in the new interface or the old interface, so that's good.
True. So the new Keyword Planner interface matches that same experience you get in the new AdWords.
Great.
So it's fluid. The tools and the intuition are all in the same place. The old keyword tool, when you got to the initial page, you were inundated with a ton of different options and you weren't really sure what to start, if you're doing it right, if you had all the toggles and the dials in the right place. Now when you go to Keyword Planner tool, you're offered two things. Find new keywords and get metrics and forecasts. And you just plug in you just start typing. You go to the next screen, you're given a similar result to what you might see before, where you get a rolling scale of what the previous 12 months look like. That is still there, but however, now there's a secondary column in it that shows you mobile results versus total results.
Nice.
So it helps you break it down in there.
Which totally plays into the direction that we know that if we view Google as a whole is leading anyways, and the mobile first mentality,
right?
So much of searches are being done in the mobile world, so why not be able to break that out quickly?
The biggest new feature that I'm pretty excited about that I'm going to definitely explore more is if you have your AdWords account connected with Search Console, you can now bring in organic data into the search results.
Perfect.
Yep. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, it's in. You can adjust your columns the same way you can in AdWords, in regular AdWords display. You can add. There's 2 organic metrics. It is. Excuse me here. Organic impression share and organic average position. So you can add that as more columns onto the side, and if you're using the tool for getting ideas for paid programs or paid campaigns, that's one thing. But if you're also trying to get ideas for the organic side of things, if you can do some math in your head and take a look at that organic impression share versus organic average position, and then deduce what you're seeing on the paid results, you're able to get a much more realistic idea of what the phrase might do on organic side.
What that landscape's going to be like,
Yes.
and are you in the hunt or not? It goes. We've had a number of conversations about if you do a search, if you do that, we call it here like a gut check. I talk about all the time. Is like the keyword tool is going to tell you one thing, but go not logged in, go and do a search just as a gut check to say, all right, what does this really look like?
Right.
And if you see it loaded with paid ads, PLAs, if it's just bombarded with ads, you might have to pay to get into that.
Right.
And if you want to get a seat at the table, you might have to pay to get there.
Yeah.
What you're saying is by adding this layer in, you can actually more or less see that. I don't want to say in advance because it's probably still. Is it still based off of historical data? They're not projecting out.
I haven't been able to tell that yet. So I did some testing. I'll get to that in a sec. I can't tell if it's based on projections or historical data or where it's going on there. What's going to be interesting to see is if it shows you that average position of like 22. There's impressions. There's impression share, but the average position is 22. That's not going to be the strategic word I need.
No.
This all said, a few of our accounts that I tested, we have beta access to it.
So, sweet.
So
cool.
I played with it.
Cool.
And it's much more fluid, much easier to use. The forecasting features, after you select your words and you go to the next screen, you can adjust your dials and see what you can potentially find with the forecasts. That's in there. It's more refined and it's easier to use, and there's not as much toggling, and everything is available on one page rather than going from different tabs in that forecasting section. As far as a word of the wise on the syncing your Search Console, get in there and link as many of your Search Console accounts as you can right now to start populating the info. So I did 2 different accounts that I tested. One of them, or on both of them, I had to sync Search Console, and one of them, on the Search Console side of it, it was a fresh connect. We hadn't done it yet.
Set it up
yet. Going back into the keyword planner, neither of them would populate yet. So I don't know if it was lack of data or a lack of the 2 tools talking to each other.
Yeah, and hopefully it's the lack of tools communicating to each other,
Right.
like we've experienced before. When you go in to set up when you do a fresh setup, if you will, of Search Console,
Right.
it's going to take
Yeah.
call it 24 hours to generate any data.
Right.
And even then, it's only going to go back. Is it 90 days? I know. Even historically, we can go back even further. But
Right.
but even with a new setup, sometimes it takes a little bit longer.
The new setup gives you 16 months now.
16 months?
The new
Okay.
Search Console will give you 16 months. But if
Okay.
you're still on the traditional Search Console, you're limited to 90 days.
Okay.
So the first one I tested, it was a from scratch build. I had to go into Search Console and connect the account to Search Console. And so then on the second one, we already had verified account in Search Console, so I just connected Search Console and AdWords, and it still didn't populate data. So like we said, we'll give it some time. Now that they're connected, I'll check again back on Monday. Maybe we'll give an update next week and see if we're able to glean any further insights from that.
Cool. That's a really good find. I heard about it. I didn't read anything on it too much. So, all right, Ashley.
All right.
What you got rolling?
Well, we shared, sometime last month about the changes to Facebook's news feed.
Mm-hmm.
And we've also heard in the past couple months about some other changes from Facebook, maybe more than the last couple months, but basically changes that have rolled out due to the fallout of the 2016 presidential election and all of that. So lots of changes at Facebook.
Combating fake news.
Combating fake news. Yep, combating fake news. And yeah, I'd say that's the big one. So coming out of that, there's some reports coming out now about stats for who are the big drivers of traffic to websites. So there's some reporting coming out about 2017. And for the first time since 2014, it looks like search has beat out social as a driver overall for traffic to websites. So this is according to an analytics platform called Shareaholic. And search drove 34.8% of site visits in 2017. And that compares to social networks, which accounted for 25.6% of referral traffic. So, again, this is the last 3 years, social has beat out search, and it seems like there's a graph on the article that we'll make sure to link to, but the lines on the chart are just kind of like switching, like search is going up and social's going down.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So you totally skunked me on the topic. I was going to go with that one. No, that hasn't happened in a while, so good work. I think that study is good. And really, anybody who, if you've been to a major search conference, if you've tuned into any search conference or even attended some of these decent webinars, it shouldn't be any surprise to anybody hopefully in the digital marketing industry that there's been a drop off, especially from Facebook. I know that even we've seen graphs and trends like Rand Fishkin from Moz has shared them in his slide decks and things like that, of that it's not a sharp decline of Facebook engagement or actually engaged users from Facebook, but it's certainly been a decrease. And it's not all due in parts to this new change, because remember, you and I, what we're talking about is what Shareaholic did from a study of all of 2017. This most recent algorithm change with the news feed is very, very new.
Right.
So I think even how that's all going to affect things even more. But I think, quite frankly, as things got, whether it got more politically fueled or maybe, I don't want to go on the limb and be speculative, but I think that people just generally got annoyed by what they were seeing on Facebook, or their filter bubble was jaded enough that they were like, I'm not clicking on that anymore.
Do you think that socially conscious people are collectively holding their breath right now, waiting for that next change to happen? Because that socially conscious audience, regardless of which way you play and what you're into and how you use social, you're aware that things are changing and there's been garbage shared. And also we're kind of holding our breath for what's going to happen with the 2018 midterms, because everything in the political news front is saying that the same games are attempted to be played for this 2018 midterms. That being said, are there people waiting to get to 2019? It's maybe, you can see this decline in the way people are using social and switching to search, but is it just maybe a matter of a reinvention and going to find a new use for it, which in 3 years we could be having the same conversation again to see these social declines.
Well, I think getting back to the root reason of why social platforms exist is for social reasons,
Right.
and not necessarily there to be sold for. And I don't feel that I'm shooting myself in the foot by saying that's why people are there and you shouldn't advertise there. No, that's no different than saying you shouldn't do remarketing and you shouldn't do contextual display advertising and things like that. I mean, that's at the end of the day, Facebook is a display network from an ad perspective. It's not, no matter how much, and I feel like I've preached this enough, that as much as Mark Zuckerberg would like it to be, it's not a search engine. I don't know. I have not met anybody that goes to Facebook and searches for something that is near them. That's not programmed in anybody that I know. Now, Facebook Marketplace has certainly caught on and definitely started to probably maybe put a hurt on things like Craigslist. But from a search perspective, I don't think that it has been a big concern. I even saw something the other day about somebody even questioned the value of a brand having an organic strategy on Facebook. Like, is it really worth it for my brand to do that anymore? You know, and I think that's a pretty big pill to swallow to make that claim.
Yeah, I think Pat, maybe you were talking more about users holding their breath, but I think a lot of marketers might also be like kind of bewildered and not really know what
That's
to
true.
do with all these changes that are happening.
I saw a headline somewhere that said Facebook keeps talking about all these changes and preparations for the coming political front, and businesses are holding their breath waiting to get that. Yeah, it's a good point. You know, it's where the businesses are waiting to find out what Facebook is going to do and allow, and so that's why it's just kind of quiet right now.
It'll be interesting to see. I'm not shocked by that stat. I personally am happy to see that happen.
Yeah.
Agreed.
I think that means that people. I don't want to say that people are spending less time in Facebook because I don't know. I would be fascinated if somebody has stats that they can share on. Are they spending more time on Facebook or in Facebook versus going off? But we also know that for the past couple of years, it's been the goal of Facebook, it's been the goal of Google and things like that they're going to favor content that keeps people in that channel or keeps them in that lane. So I wonder how much of that has to do, because what Shareholic's talking about is strictly referral traffic, right?
Right.
So how much of that has to do with I don't have to go anywhere else. It's more or less it could be an organic post in Facebook, and I don't really have to go anywhere else because you're giving me all of that.
Yeah.
There's a number of variables there.
Yes, and now that you mentioned that, it reminds me of something I pulled from the articles about this study that I thought was quite interesting. So Facebook was still the top social network for share of visitors from 2017 or for 2017, even though their share of visits dropped 25% year over year. The big winner as far as social referrals was Instagram. Instagram, with an 890% increase in share of visits year over year. And granted, their number is still quite small compared to, say, Facebook, but 890% increase in share of visits. And we, you think about how difficult it can be to get people to visit your website from Instagram.
Right.
So I thought that was pretty interesting.
I bet you a lot of that is tied directly to the refinement of stories in Instagram, because that's a new feature. And I'm personally not an Instagram story person. I don't use them or really follow them. From what I understand, a lot of people market there. And there's a way to create links to leave this.
When you have so many followers.
Certain followers, yeah.
Okay.
Yep, definitely. I would say the stories, if you have the right number of followers, and then being able to, for e-commerce, do some tags, product tags.
Yep, that's a newer feature.
So people can click directly on the item that's tagged in your picture and go straight to that item. So, good stuff.
got asked the question just recently in a meeting, which I think is very relevant to this discussion, bringing social back around to search, especially as we talk about search kind of leading the way in referral sources. The question was asked is what we're doing in social, both organic and paid, does it have an impact on organic search? And my response to it was similar to the discussion we've had before about does PPC, does paid search impact organic search? And the answer is not directly, but indirectly. Mm-hmm. Case in point, too, Pat, you recently with one campaign you were running, one client work, some work you were doing with a brand. We were getting some traction with search ads, but it was slow. It was slow to gain traction. Mind you, the approach was very much non-branded. There's nothing to do with client brand name in here at all. We might have enabled a small strategy deployment for like a display select on a contextual targeting as a test. And what we, not quite immediately, but indirectly see the effects of the search campaign to start to gain traction and take off. So, the question comes back to what are your thoughts on social impacting search then and now moving forward? So then meaning pre-algorithm change, now being a pay-to-play space that everybody thinks that it is, right? I'd be curious to know what your thoughts are on that. And I'm looking at Ashley as the resident social, as the resident social expert.
Adrian.
I think brand recognition is going to be big. And in brand then transitioning to industry recognition. Mm-hmm. I think that's what lifts on the search side of it. Mm-hmm. I think that's what helps with that indirectly seeing a lift. If a user sees a brand or a product show up in all these websites through display or remarketing or things like that, when it shows up in organic, they're naturally going to want to click it because they see it as more of a trustworthy source. Like that, it's not just a spam thing. It's seen as, oh, they must be an authority, so I'm going to click it. Mm-hmm. And I think the same thing will happen in social.
Yeah. As you were talking, my kind of take on it is, say something pops up in my Facebook feed. I've been getting a lot of fashion ads in my Facebook feed.
We have noticed your wardrobe has been updated. We noticed that the wardrobe's updated, so maybe there's a reason for that.
Yep, and so they know me. So I've been seeing a lot of fashion ads show up in my feed. And if I see something there that I'm interested in, maybe not interested enough to click on the ad when it comes up, but if it's something that I was interested enough in, I might remember that brand name or what the item was, and then I'm going to go do a search for that later to try to find it.
Totally. So it goes back to, it was a statement that I think Moz's CEO Sarah Bird had even mentioned recently. So Moz started a podcast, what's it called? Moz Pod, I think it is. And she did she did an episode that was about SEO as brand. And I think that is a really, really good discussion that SEOs need to be having. I think it's a great discussion that SEOs need to be having with digital marketers, with C-suite folks, with things like that. It's something I've talked about I feel like for years, is let's not get so focused on ranking of keyword X or keyword Y. Mm-hmm. It's over time we're seeing lift in search, branded or not. But more importantly, we know that, like, the stat is still on the board here from a slide deck I put together. 92% of people do not buy on the first visit. So if your users are not converting on the first visit, how are they getting back to your site? Mm-hmm. They might have been introduced from a paid search ad. They might have been introduced from a Facebook ad. They might have been introduced from an organic search ad. So if they come in through organic, are you remarketing to them through Facebook? Are you remarketing them through search or through display? Are you doing all of those things? Are you taking an integrated approach with that? I mean, and those are the discussions that we're having more and more, right? As a holistic approached SEO company is, what else are you doing? Because those other things that you're doing offline or online can impact what happens in organic search indirectly.
Yep.
And I think it's only going to get. I think those lines are only going to get more blurry.
Yeah.
Moving forward, and with Facebook going to the pay-to-play model, it's not 100% true, right? I mean, there's people that are going to freak out and say, "Oh, well, now I got to pay for all that traffic." The thing to point out there too, which is where I would be curious to read the actual Shareaholic data, is if you boost a post from Facebook, that's referral. It's not, most people are not tracking that. Most people are not putting UTM tracking codes and parameters in there. That's going to come through as a referral from Facebook. So you then need to back up the funnel and rely on Facebook Insights to be able to see, oh, yeah, we ran into that. Case in point, we ran into that with a client. We were looking at year-over-year data and couldn't figure out for a minute, like, crap, this is really weird. Stats are way off. Pinpointing on a certain date, ask the client, hey, what did you do this week? Come to find out, they boosted a bunch of posts. And that's what generated that traffic increase.
Yeah, and here we are in 2018 thinking, what did we miss? We're so far behind the eight ball.
Yep. Yeah, we're beating our heads against the wall thinking like either we didn't do something right or maybe they didn't. And when in reality, you have a little bit of Facebook to blame for that when it comes up and it's like, oh, hey, want to boost that post? $50 will get it, this far. And it's so transactional and so easy, right?
It's going to be frustrating too for marketers or business owners that don't understand to go deeper. Here in the office when we were digging through that, it was like Leo DiCaprio, we must go deeper kind of. We finally got there and we figured out, like, let's ask the client about that.
Right.
And then it's all started clicking.
Yeah. So this is another, I think, to kind of come full circle and wrap this up too, it's just another reason to be more integrated with your teams. I'm not saying that means that you need to have all of those things under one roof. It's just get everyone at the table on a quarterly basis at minimum. Have the conversation, get a shared document out there, get everybody on the same page to understand who's doing what's the timeline look like, because everybody needs a point to be able to reference that and say, this could generate lift in organic search, or what we're doing in organic could generate some traction, or content opportunities to promote and share. So get everybody together, get a more integrated approach. So I think things will be interesting. 2018's just started, so here we go. But cool. Well, thank you guys for contributing, and certainly we look forward to sharing on the next episode. Check out episode 34. There's a lot of really, really great nuggets and pieces of information that Cindy and I totally geeked out for about 50 minutes on. So check that out. We'll link to all the show notes here too. So until next time, good luck.
This has been the Redirect Podcast. Check out the show notes at blacktruckmedia.com and add us on iTunes and Stitcher.